The way that we carry ourselves, the position of our chest, the angle of our gaze, the tension on our shoulders are direct reflexes of our self-image. They are deeply ingrained patterns, not only physical ones, but also psychological ones. So you want to improve your posture. We all have an idea of what is a good posture. So you pick that and you try to apply it to yourself. And that is doomed to fail. Simply because in any battle of the conscious against the unconscious is usually the unconscious that prevails. You might apply that posture to yourself, but in the first moment that your conscious mind shifts somewhere else, you're gonna get back to your usual posture. To change your posture, you have to go tap into the underlying conditions that are shaping your posture. And this is precisely when the Feldenkrais Technique comes in. It works by bringing your awareness to these habitual body patterns and the subconscious processes that are driving them. As we start exploring more and more our body in this very subtle way with a lot of refined attention, we start being able to recognize the connection in between our actions, emotions, and our thought processes. This heightened body awareness helps us break free from inefficient movement patterns and replace them with more efficient ones. As you practice, you will start integrating these new ways into your daily life, and your posture will improve naturally and effortlessly, without the need of this conscious control all the time to keep it up. In today's class, we'll dive into a unique exploration of the hip and spine extension, a pattern that will lead you to a more upright stance and increased grounding, a pattern that will instill within you a sense of trust and self-support that will ripple through many aspects of your life. So, are you ready to dive into this practice with me? If so, all you will need is a floor space, a mat or a blanket to lie on, maybe some extra layers or a blanket on the side, just in case you get cold, and a calm time space. Once you have all of these elements gathered, let's get started. Please lie comfortably on your back. Spread a little bit your arms, spread a little bit your legs, so you feel very, very comfy. And take a little moment to do nothing. Just allow some time for yourself to arrive with your awareness to your current state, to your current body sensations. Notice the breathing sensation. Check in with yourself. Notice if there's a part of your body that you have to be a little bit more aware of or take care of this specific body part. And then bring your awareness to how your body is making contact with the floor. What are the parts that are pressing a little bit more? What are the parts that press slightly? And maybe there are parts that don't touch the floor. Notice those as well. Allow your jaw to be free, your tongue, your eyes, your eyelids, your forehead, the point in between the eyebrows. And then bring your attention to the way your shoulders are resting on the floor. Maybe you can start with the right shoulder. How far it is from the ceiling. Feel the contact of the right shoulder blade with the floor. Is your right shoulder and your right shoulder blade really resting, or you feel like you're holding a little bit your right shoulder blade? What is the distance between the right shoulder blade and the spine in the middle? Notice the left shoulder and the left shoulder blade. Compare with the right. Do you feel like your left shoulder is a bit lower to the ground, or is it a little bit closer to the ceiling than the right one? Notice as well the left shoulder blade. How is it resting on the floor? Compare the sensation of the left shoulder blade with the right one. Which one do you feel like it is more spread on the floor? Is there one shoulder blade that feels closer to the spine than the other one? Go through the length of your right arm, right elbow, right forearm, right hand until the tips of the fingers. Notice the length of this arm, how it is resting on the floor. And then go through the length of your left arm, left elbow, left forearm, left hand, until the tips of the fingers of the left hand. And notice the length of this left arm and its contact with the ground. Compare the right arm and the left arm. Is there one arm that feels longer than the other one? Do they touch the floor slightly different? Notice now the contact of your pelvis with the floor. Feel how the weight of the pelvis is distributed. Observing if there's more weight on the right or on the left, or lower towards your tailbone, or maybe more up towards your lower back. Where is the weight? Notice as well the volume of the pelvis. And then bring your attention to your tailbone, the very tip of the spine. And then travel up with your attention through your sacrum, this triangular bone, and then up through your low back, noticing how far is the curve of your low back from the floor, or maybe it is touching the floor. And then go through your middle back, your thoracic vertebrae, passing through your rib cage, in between your shoulder blades, and then noticing your neck vertebrae, your cervical spine. Notice the curve of the neck and its distance from the floor, how much space there is behind your neck. And then feel the whole length of the spine, from the tailbone, passing through the sacrum, low back, middle back, upper back, neck vertebrae until the skull, and then coming back towards the tailbone. A couple of tours up and down through your spine, feeling its whole length, noticing what are the parts that you can feel easily, that are quite present in your awareness, and what are the parts where it's difficult to feel. What are the parts of the spine that feel closer to the floor, and what are the parts of the spine that feel a little bit further from the floor? Now bring your attention to your right leg. Notice the length of the right leg from the right hip joint until the right foot. Notice the contact of your right heel with the floor, your right calf, the space behind your right knee. What is the distance behind the right knee in the floor? Notice if your right thigh is making contact with the floor. How is this contact? How much of the thigh is in contact? Feel the weight and the length of the whole right leg. And then bring the attention to your left leg. Feel its length appearing in your awareness, and feel its general contact with the floor. Then bring specific attention to the contact of the left heel with the floor, the left calf, feel the space behind your left knee. Notice how much space there is there behind your left knee. Notice the left thigh. For some people, the thigh almost doesn't touch the floor. For others, touches a lot. What is happening in your body? Then compare both legs, the weight, the length, the contact with the floor. Is there one leg that you feel that it's more externally rotated than the other one? Notice the natural flow of your breath. What parts of your body do you feel expanding when you inhale? Feel the contact of the back of your head with the floor. Where does it make contact with the floor? Allow your jaw to be free and your head to completely rest on this point of contact. Give the weight of the head to the floor. Stay quite aware of the weight of your head without picking it up. Very, very small and gently roll a little bit your head to one side and notice how far do you roll without any resistance. And then come back to center and roll it to the other side. Notice if it's different. Roll your head gently from side to side, keeping the weight resting on the floor, noticing if there's any difference you can feel. If there's one side that you maybe roll the head more easily, more pleasantly, freely, or if there's one side where the movement is bigger than the other side. Okay. Now, please roll to lie on your stomach, on your belly. Bring your forehead to rest on the floor. Bring your hands by the side of your head, more or less with your elbows bent 90 degrees on the floor. So the elbows are on the floor, the palms of your hands are on the floor, just by the side of your head. The palms are facing down. And now, keep your eyes closed, but with your eyes closed, just look a little bit to the left. Only with your eyes, not with the head. So look to the left and come back to center with the eyes. And then look again and come back, repeating this a couple of times. And as you do this movement, notice, is this easy? Or is it a little bit strenuous? Can your breath stay free? Or do you hold your breath as you do this movement with your eyes? Is this movement fluid, or is it a little bit staccato, like has some little friction or some interruption in the movement? Just notice. And then let that go. And let's do the same to the right. So still with your eyes closed and your forehead on the floor, just look to your right and then come back to center. Notice, how does that feel? Is it similar to the left side? Is it easier or not? Do you look further? Is your breath flowing? Is it fluid or is it staccato? Okay, and let that go. Now look down only with your eyes, as if you would want to look to your chin. Notice, how does that feel? Is it a straight line down or does it make a curve? Where else in your body do you feel movement when you look down like that? A couple of times you go and come back. And then let that go. And still with your eyes only and the eyes closed, look up as if you want to look to your forehead. So look to your forehead and side and come back with your eyes. And look up and come back and notice, how is that? Is it easier for you to look up or to look down if you compare to the previous movement? Can you keep your breath free? Is it easy? What is the sensation of doing this? Okay, now let that go. And now open your eyes and gently lift up your head and look a little bit forward and up, lifting a little bit the head and maybe even the chest, and see until where you can lift with easiness, without forcing, without using the hands for pressing the floor. Just lift the head, a little bit maybe of the chest to support the movement of your head, and come back. Just do this like 2 or 3 times, and when you lift, mark like a little reference for yourself, something that you see. For example, if you're looking towards a wall, a white wall, maybe there's a little dot or some mark on the wall where you're looking at on your higher spot, just so you can have a reference, and then you will come back to this movement later and you can see if your movement has changed. So find a reference and remember it. And then just rest for a moment. Let your head come back to the floor You can turn your face to one of the sides if it feels more comfortable for you. And just do nothing. Now bring your forehead on the floor again, turning your face to the floor, and start sliding your forehead gently down on the floor so you can kind of see your belly button, or as if you want to see your belly button. Yes, and come back. Repeat gently, listening to the movement as you do it. Lifting up a little bit your upper body from the floor so you can give yourself some space to see in the direction of your belly button. As you do this movement, notice what is happening with your spine. What is the spine movement going on there? Notice what's happening with your pelvis. Does the contact of the pelvis with the floor change? When you slide your forehead like that, where does the weight of the pelvis go? Allow your breath to be free. Notice, is this movement fluid for you? Like flowy, or does it present a lot of resistance? Where does it stop? Where do you start to feel resistance? And then let that go. Bring your forehead to the original position. And then lift the head up again, looking up and a bit forward on your room. And see if you feel different. It's the same movement that you did before. See if you feel any difference now. Did it become somehow easier or not? And check out that reference and see if now you have maybe lifted your head a little bit more than you did before. Can you look further up? Don't force, just checking. Okay, and then let that go and rest. Always when you rest, if you wish to turn your head to whatever side that you prefer, you can just do that. Now, bring your forehead on the floor again and bend your knees so your feet are towards the ceiling. Your knees are slightly spread, not too much, just a comfortable position for you. And then start flexing your feet and pointing your feet. Flexing and pointing. Flexing and pointing. Flex is when you bring your toes more towards your shins and you push with your heel, and pointing, it's just pointing when your heels come closer to your calves, and the tip of the toes go away from your shins. As you do this movement a couple of times, notice, are the feet moving alike? Is there one foot that you feel like it moves a little bit smoother than the other one? Or maybe the range of movement is a bit different. Is one side easier than the other one? Or faster? Do you initiate with one side and then the other accompanies, or do you move both feet simultaneously? Now, let that go. Stop this movement and just allow the right leg to rest long on the floor. And start lifting the left knee a little bit away from the floor. And come back with the knee. Repeating this gently. See if you can do the movement gradually. And as you do this, as you lift the knee and bring it back, notice the forehead pressure on the floor. Does it change? How does this movement travel up through your spine to your head? What is happening with the spine? The next time that your left knee touches the floor again, press it a little bit on the floor. And then let go of the pressure. Press and let go. And press and let go. Many times. And notice what is happening again with the contact of your forehead with the floor, with your spine, with your pelvis. How does this movement travel through your body? And then let that go and just rest. Extend both legs. You can turn your head to one of the sides if you prefer. Just notice the contact of your body with the floor. As you go through the lesson, what is changing? Okay, bring your forehead on the floor again. The hands by either side of the head, with the elbows bent, just as you were before, in case you have changed the position. Now bend your right knee so the right foot is towards the ceiling and the left leg stays there on the floor, extended. Start lifting your right knee a little bit from the floor and bring it back. Lift and bring it back in your own rhythm, in your own timing, making it easy. And notice how you are doing this. Is this knee a little bit easier to lift? Or is it a little bit harder? What's the difference? Notice if this movement is traveling through your spine towards your head. Is there any change on the contact of your forehead to the ground? What is happening in your spine as you lift the knee? Notice also what is happening in your spine as you bring the knee back. And the next time that your right knee comes back to the floor, start pressing the right knee to the floor. Just gently. And let go. Press and let go. And notice what is happening when you press your right knee to the floor. What is happening with your pelvis? Has the contact of the pelvis to the floor changed? Is the pressing on this side different from the pressing on the other side? What happens to your spine? What happens to your forehead? Check in with your breath. See if you can allow the breath to be free. Your jaw as well. And then let go of this and just roll to rest on your back. How is the contact of your body with the floor now? Has it changed? Notice the pelvis, the contact of the legs with the floor, the back of your thighs, the rotation of the legs. And notice as well your spine. Does it feel different? And then come back on your stomach, bringing your forehead to rest on the floor. Hands by the side of your head with your elbows bent 90 degrees, just as before. And bend both knees now with both of your feet towards the ceiling. Start lifting both knees simultaneously from the floor and come back. Lifting and bringing them back multiple times, always softly, always gently, always listening to what is happening. It is more important that you listen than that you focus all on your attention in the doing. It's more about how you do it, what happens when you do it. Notice your forehead again. How is it shifting in relation to the ground? Your spine, how does it behave? And also the pelvis. What happens with the pelvis when you lift both knees? What about your low back? Does it change? Notice as well the curve of the back of your neck. As you lift and as you bring the knees back, does it change? The next time that both knees come back to the floor, just start pressing them. Press and let go. Press and let go, both simultaneously. Notice how does the movement affect, again, your forehead, your spine, the pelvis. Don't need to press very hard, just gently. And see if you can make this pressure also gradually. Now, start alternating. One knee presses the floor as the other knee lifts from the floor, and vice versa. One knee presses, the other one lifts. And notice what is happening with your pelvis. How is the pressure shifting on the floor? What is happening with your spine? And with your forehead? As it becomes clear, start making it a little bit faster and smaller. And then easier it becomes, faster you can do. One side and then the other, one side and the other. Pressing and lifting, pressing and lifting. Noticing how the movement is affecting the whole body. And then rest. Do nothing. Now, gently bring your forehead back to the floor and lift the head up and look up again until where you feel easiness, lightness. See if this point of easiness has changed or if it remains the same. Can you look further up now compared to the beginning of the lesson? Just do the movement 2 or 3 times to compare. And then stop, turn the head to the side, whatever side that you prefer. Notice how it is now. How does it feel to be with the head turned to this side? And then lift the head up and turn it to the other side. And notice the difference. Is the side that you chose to turn your head first easier to be, or the other one is better? Now, turn your head to the right, so you're resting with your left ear on the floor. The hands are still by the side of the head with the elbows bent on the floor. Now bend both of your knees and start sliding the head down on the floor towards the right side. a little bit as if you want to look to your right side of your pelvis or to your right foot. If you need so, you can distance the right hand a little bit from your face so it's not on your way. Do not lift the head too much. Just make it slightly lighter so you can slide it on the floor with no friction. So go slide it a little bit to the right and then come back and repeat the movement many times, very slowly, attentively. Now, as you do the movement, imagine that it's the nose that is guiding the movement the next time, as if there would be like a thread on the tip of your nose, that someone pulls a little bit this thread and brings your head sliding to the right. And feel this movement. How is it different when you think of the nose guiding? And now change. Imagine it is the forehead that is initiating the movement. Does it feel different? Has the movement itself changed? Okay. Now rest for a moment. If it feels comfortable for you, just keep looking to your right side. If you feel like you need a change for rest, just turn your head to the other side. So turn your head to the right if it isn't there yet. And now start sliding the right knee up on the floor. And when I say up, I mean to the side in the direction of your head a little bit. Always in touch with the floor. And then come back. Repeat it a couple of times. You slide the right knee up on the floor and then come back. Notice what is happening with your pelvis. What does the pelvis do so you can slide your knee without friction, with easiness? Is the weight of the pelvis shifting on the floor? Notice your spine. How is it behaving? And now continue doing this movement of bending a little bit your knee and sliding it on the floor towards your head, but add the head to the movement, the previous movement that we did before. So when the knee slides up, the head slides down towards the knee. And then they go further apart. At the same time, the knee slides up, the head slides down, and then the head slides up and the knee slides down. They get closer together and further apart, as if there would be a thread, an elastic, uniting them. See if you can do the same amount of movement that you do with the head, with the knee. So they start together and they finish together. And as you're doing this movement, notice what's happening with your spine. Notice, is it curving? What is happening with your low back? What is happening with the spine when the head and the knee come together? And what is happening with the spine also when they go apart from each other? And then let that go and rest. Now turn the head to the other side. So you're looking to the left side and your right ear is resting on the floor. Start sliding the head down on the floor to the left a little bit. As if you would want to see the left side of your pelvis, or maybe your left foot. Imagine one time that the nose is guiding the movement, initiating, and notice as your nose guides the movement, how does the movement change? Does direction change? And then imagine that your forehead is guiding the movement. And notice if that changes the movement. Okay, let that go, bringing your head to the original position. Now, start sliding the left knee up on the floor towards your head and come back. So the left knee bends and slides on the floor to the side, a little bit up towards your head, and slides back. Avoiding lifting the knee from the floor and making just one big movement of lifting and placing. See if you can slide all the way up and all the way down. Notice if this movement finds friction, if it's staccato, or if it's really like sliding, flowing. What is happening with your pelvis as you do the movement? Is the weight shifting? How does this movement of the pelvis contribute for the easiness of the movement of the knee? Notice your spine. How does the movement travel through the spine? Do you feel differences on this side? Is your breath free? Can you let it be free? Can you make this movement easier and easier? And now you continue this movement and add to the movement of the head. So as you slide your left knee up towards the head slides down towards the knee, coming close to each other, the knee and the head. And then further apart as the knee slides down and the head slides up. Repeating, start small with a small movement. The knee slides up, the head approaches a bit, and then they come further apart. See if you can start more and more doing this movement simultaneously. The knee and the head start coming together at the same time and going further apart at the same time. Noticing the spine as you do this movement. The next time that your left leg is long, gently lift a little bit your head and turn it to the other side, to the right side, and make the movement to the right side. So bringing the right knee to the head and the head to the knee, and then bringing them far away from each other, lifting gently the head, turning it to the other side, and then doing it on the left side. Head and knee close together and then further apart. So every time that you come back, you change the direction of the head and you do the movement to the other side, alternating sides. As you alternate, compare the sides. Is there one side that feels easier than the other one? Is there one side where the head and the knee approach each other more than the other one? Bring your attention to your pelvis. How much the pelvis shifts when you do the movement to one side, and how much the pelvis shifts when you do the movement to the other side. Is there a difference? And see if you can really lift the leg to turn the head in the good moment, in the moment where it feels the easiest. There is an exact moment, if you listen, that is inviting your head to turn to the other side. Catch that very good moment. So it's fluid to go from one side to the other side. Notice the sides of the body, the right side and the left side, on the waist area. Is there a moment that one side gets longer and then it gets shorter, and then the other side gets longer and shorter? Okay, let that go and rest. You can rest with the head to whatever side you prefer. Notice your breathing. Notice if there is change not only in the contact of the body with the floor or in the movement, but also in the availability to be there with yourself. Noticing these small movements, these small details of yourself. Now, bring your forehead on the floor again. And as we did before, just lift the head and look up and see if this movement has changed. See if the point of easiness has changed. Can you look a little bit further up now? Or is it the same? By having that small reference that we have placed in the beginning of the course, you can see if you have improved. Repeat this movement 2 or 3 times only, and then rest. Do nothing. Now, your forehead on the floor, you are on your belly, on your stomach. Bring your hands to the sides. But now, instead of having the elbows on the floor as they were before, you can have your elbows bent but towards the ceiling. They are not resting on the floor now. You can change the placement of your hands so to be more functional and comfortable. And now start pressing the right hand on the floor a little bit and let go of the pressure. Press the right hand and let go. And as you do this movement many times, notice the head, what is going on. And notice as well the right shoulder blade, what is happening. Is it sliding? Is it moving? In which direction? And then let go of that. Do not hesitate in changing the placement of the hands if you feel like you have to put them a little bit more up or put them a little bit more down so you can press more easily. And now start pressing the left hand on the floor. And then let go of this pressure. Press, let go, press, and let go. And see how this pressure arrives to your shoulder blade. What is happening to your forehead on the floor, to the movement of your head. Where else in your body do you feel movement? And now alternate sides by pressing one side and then the other. Right side and the left side. Right side and the left side. Noticing what is happening with the whole body. Especially with the shoulder blades. And then stop. Just rest a little bit. You can let the elbows rest on the floor as before. Starting with your forehead on the floor again, just look up and once again, see if it has changed. See if you lift your head more easily, if you lift it more, if you feel lighter or more free. Check that first reference point that you have placed. How much range of movement have you gained? After you've done this movement 2 or 3 times, just let go and rest on your back with extended legs. How has the contact with the floor changed? Notice the contact of your legs, your thighs, the length of your legs. Do they feel longer? Notice the contact of the pelvis with the floor. The contact of the back. The length of your spine. How your shoulder blades are resting on the floor. Let go of your jaw, your tongue, your eyes. The face very relaxed. Allow the weight of the head to completely rest on its point of contact with the floor. Feel the weight. And then roll the head a little bit to one side. How does it feel? And then to the other side. Is this rolling movement from side to side a little bit different? As you roll your head from side to side, how far down your body do you feel this head movement? What else moves as you roll your head from side to side? Let that go. Feel your whole body, one sensation. Bend one knee, placing one foot on the floor, and then bend the other knee, placing the other foot on the floor. Bring both knees towards your chest. Place the right hand on the top of the right knee, the left hand on the top of the left knee, bringing the knees gently apart from each other. Then let your right knee fall to the right. Your left knee comes to accompany it afterwards. And then the left knee goes towards the ceiling and then to the left. And the right knee comes to accompany it afterwards. In this way, you're rolling your whole body gently, nicely from side to side. The knees separate during the transition and they come together as you are on the sides. Then choose one side to roll, to sit, to come to a squatting position. Then lift your pelvis, extending your legs a little bit, not completely. Drop your head and slowly start unrolling your spine, unfolding the spine, coming to verticality, to standing position. And notice you're standing. How does it feel? Notice the organization of your verticality, the sensation of your breath, of your horizon. Is your horizon maybe a little bit higher than your habitual horizon? The contact of your feet with the floor. The general sensation of yourself. Has it changed? Have a little walk on your space, noticing how does this lesson integrate in your walking. I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. Thank you very much. As we get to the end of this practice, take a little moment to appreciate the subtle shifts and newfound awareness that you have cultivated within yourself during this lesson. Your individual journey holds a wealth of knowledge for us all. So I invite you to share your discoveries, your feelings, and any question that might have arisen in the comments section below. Your contribution is instrumental for shaping our shared understanding of the Feldenkrais Technique. If you have enjoyed this lesson and you're not subscribed to my channel yet, please consider doing so you stay informed when the next videos are online. I also invite you to share this video with other people you think might benefit from it. Thank you for participating in this exploration. I eagerly anticipate your reflections and our next lesson together. Meanwhile, stay present and stay curious.